Hello everyone, this is Coach Sean, and we have finished reviewing the hitting video from early December, and we're now just putting together your hitting lessons. There's some things that are common amongst a lot of our hitters that the videotape is showing us, and I just wanted to start by reviewing some of these things so that everybody can become familiar with them, what they are, how they affect your swing, what you can do to correct it, practice drills, etc. What I'd like everyone to do after you read these things is stop your video, go online, go to our website, saintsbaseball.club. Once you're at the website, saintsbaseball.club, I would like you to go to the features page, and I'd like you to watch the following videos. The first one I would like you to watch is Fix Your Flat Swing, Master the Snap Drill. I believe this drill is essential in any hitter's swing. If you do not move your hands, turn the triangle, snap the bat rearward, and pull your hands through a swing, you're not going to have your best swing. You're not going to be able to attack the balls on the corners and things of that nature. A flat swing is going to have trouble hitting outside and inside pitches. What we are trying to build with our hitters is a complete hitter, somebody with no holes in their swing that can attack all the balls in the zone and drive the ball from gap to gap at your 18 to 22 degree upward plane, thusly making each hitter the best they can be. So again, if you do not snap your bat correctly, this drill is perfect for slowing it down, duplicating it, mimicking the process, and is something that everybody should be able to do or know about so that they can work on getting there in the future. So again, I'd like you to start by watching those two videos. I think 3 videos associated to that part of the drill. The second thing I'd like you to watch is casting your hands in the swing. It's the second video on the page. Casting your hands is something that most of our hitters are doing. A large number of them anyway are doing. And casting the bat, simply put, will flatten your swing. Okay, it's the incorrect use of your hands in the swing that flattens your plane of your bat, which is going to make you, again, have difficulty hitting inside and outside pitches. It's going to give you holes in your swing, and this is a great video series so that you can understand what it is, how you're doing it, and again, ways to fix it. So that's very important. Thirdly, loose hands drill. It's lower down on the page, and I have a feeling from watching these videos that not everybody's holding their bats correctly. The bat should be held very loosely, and every one of our players should investigate using a grip aid, whether it's pine tar or the tacky waxy substances, something of that nature. But if you look at a major league on deck circle, there's probably 4 or 5 grip aids that the batters are using every at bat before they go to bat in most cases. And on the Saints team, we've got literally 1 or 2 people using pine tar, and not on a regular basis. So again, I would like all the players to understand how to grip a bat, the best way to grip a bat, why they're gripping it that way, and how it contrasts with what they're doing. And I'd like them to try to mimic and copy the folks in these hand drills so that they can, again, feel the difference in the swing with loose hands. So we've got that video. We've got the Justin Turner's loose hands bat grip, which all that does is show his loose grip preload. Again, very important for the kids to get that, let it sink in, and see if they can change their grip to get their hands and wrists looser in the swing. So go ahead and go watch those and then come on back to your lesson. Okay, now that you've done that, let's talk a little bit about what we're trying to achieve here. In general, a hitter that is approaching 15 years old, or by the time he reaches 16, he should be very proficient at covering the zone, meaning having a swing that will produce a line drive anywhere from gap to gap at anywhere from 16 to 22 degree upward trajectory. A player should be able to hit a pitch in that direction that is anywhere in the zone. That is a batting practice or soft toss pitch or off a tee. Okay, yes, it's a different thing when you put a live pitcher in there throwing top speed for your age group, but by age 15, 16 at the latest, you should be very well accomplished with the quick short swing that covers the whole zone, that puts the ball into the right place. So what we're trying to do is build that with each player, and what we're seeing from just a few flaws, not a lot of stuff needs to be cleaned up with a lot of our hitters, but this snap drill and how you initiate the swing and casting the hands are the two biggest things we need to fix so that our kids can get on the trajectory of being able to hit a ball in the strike zone where they need and want to hit it. So our goal is trying to get you all in that direction. So that's what we're working on here. That's what we're trying to accomplish. So the first thing I want to show you here is this hitter performing the snap drill. And let's just roll it so you can see it. Okay, let's play it live. You see how he does it nice and slow, making sure he's keeping everything in its right position with the right sequence. And this drill right here, we're going to call the snap drill. And I believe every one of our hitters on our team needs to practice this a lot on a regular basis. Even after you master it, you need to keep doing it just to make sure it stays regular and an easy feeling for you. And let's take a look at some of the breakdown on this thing here. So what you're trying to achieve is more of a horizontal or downward swing. As you can see at the point of contact, so to speak, the angle of his bat. Okay. That angle right there is what you're trying to achieve on most pitches, not an outside and high pitch, for example, but for a lot of the pitches on the plate, that's the angle you're trying to achieve, okay? So, of course, he did that and achieved that angle by starting with a good triangle with this 90 degrees. He's got a proper hand grip. Okay, look at that really close. And as you move it forward here, he's snapping the bat rearward. Snapping the bat rearward. And one important thing in being able to do that, which is also part of the snap drill teachings, is this right here. The right forearm for a right-hander, left forearm for a left-hander. This degree should always be close to 90 degrees at all times until you get into the power V, or the tail end of your swing. So as you watch that angle through the swing, you can see he's kept it more or less at contact right there. Okay? So the relationship of the forearm to the bat should always be 90 degrees. When you start the swing, the first movement here, there's his go right there. His triangle starts to turn, his bat comes rearward, his forearm and bat are at 90 degrees, and he simply maintains that posture through the swing. And you can see there he really starts to get his left elbow moving forward and around and up, and starts plunging his left shoulder rearward. Okay? So as you watch this here, see how far that left shoulder or left elbow is going to maintain his 90 degrees. Now he's essentially turned his triangle all the way, and it's facing the pitcher. Okay? If you do not, which a lot of our hitters don't, if you do not turn that elbow up and out, that elbow will stop right where it's at. Okay? If your elbow stops in here, which a lot of our players' elbows do, if you're stopping here, the only place for the arms and hands to then go, the forearms and the hands, is out and around that elbow. Okay? So these are then going to come outward. Okay? That would be his arm extended right there, so to speak. If he stops the elbow, this hand has nowhere to go but out and around the elbow. Okay? Which will make you cast your bat, which will give you a flatter swing plane and make it tough to reach inside pitches and outside pitches on a regular basis. So again, this snap drill is something everybody should grab a wiffle ball bat, standing in front of a mirror, practice this methodically, slowly, until you get it and it's comfortable. And once it's comfortable, you should continue to do it on a regular basis. Okay? So let's flip this for our left-handers. Let them take a look. Okay, this drill is real easy to practice as well. What you do is you get in the batter's box with a tee, you get your feet lined up, you take and you measure the distance from the hands to the sweet spot of your bat, and you get in this position, put the bat near the ball, you recreate this whole position right here, and then you simply back it up to your load and you slowly proceed between the 2 points until you can do it quickly and correctly. Okay, so I want everybody to work on that. I want you to do it at home. I want you to do it in the cages, at practice. I really want everybody to concentrate on gaining what it feels like to start your swing like this. Very important. Okay, here's another version of the snap drill. It should also be practiced with one hand. This is the portion of the drill where you're concentrating on a 90-degree or a perpendicular angle, 90 degrees from the bat to your left elbow or right, your forearm or your right forearm if you're right-handed. Let's watch this gentleman demonstrate the drill. So along with the other version of this, everybody should practice this on a regular basis. You should get it to feel as comfortable as possible, and some of the things to remind you of here is you can see how the elbow and everything starts to slot and everything works together simultaneously. The same thing with the two-hand snap drill, okay? So now we've got this flipped for right-handed players to see what it looks like. Okay, so again, the ability to do this and master these drills and get a good feel for handling the bat like these instructors are. Again, bat speed controls how far and hard we hit the ball. So you want to gain as much bat speed as possible, and you can see the whip from laying it down like this is how you're going to gain more bat speed, okay? That's how early bat speed is gained. The second thing it's going to do for you, it's going to get the bat on the right path, which is going to help you hit more balls where you want to hit them. So keep all that in mind as you're practicing this drill. And the third way to practice the snap drill is with a PVC pipe. Okay, and here is the third way to practice the snap drill, and this is with the PVC pipe that was provided to you by Chris, or this could be with a broomstick, something of that nature. And let's just watch this gentleman. You can see how he moves everything simultaneously. Everything's firing at once. The snapping of the hands, the slotting of the right elbow, the upward movement of the left shoulder and elbow to turn the triangle, and bam. Okay, now again, this is exaggerated. You're not going to exactly swing this way every time, but it does show, and by exaggerating, get everything moving in the right direction on the right path. So let's flip it for our left-handers. Okay, so there are the 3 ways to practice the snap drill, and I highly suggest everybody masters these drills. Get them looking just the way these instructors do in the video. Okay? So here we have Justin Turner loaded in here, and I want to take a quick look at the ending of his swing so that we have contrast for later when we get into the individual videos. But you can see he's 3/4 of the way through his swing here, and if we draw a line right here, this line indicates what a lot of our players are doing that are casting their hands. If you cast your hands, what that's going to do, it's going to stop your elbows in this area right here of the swing. It's not going to allow you to get to this position. Okay? So again, take a quick look at that and then parlay that into your swing and see what the differences are. But if you do stop your elbows and cast the bat, that's what's going to give you the rotational, flatter swing. So here is Aaron Judge, and let's look at his full swing. Again, look at the same points. As he's 3/4 of the way through his swing here, before contact. You'll see that he maintains his 90-degree relationship with his elbows and triangle. You'll see here that his elbow is way up by his shoulder. His shoulder is moving rearward. And it appears he's got a ball on a pretty good trajectory, and with his bat speed, I'm assuming that's a home run or close to it, right there. He's got a perpendicular relationship here with the bat and the flight of the ball. He pulled his hands inside nicely, and he got some nice results on this swing. So if we look at the front of the swing here, if you look at the hands, and the elbows, you will see that all that stuff moves simultaneously. You will also see his left elbow simply goes upward, like so. So let's go ahead and get into the individual lessons, and we'll discuss some of this stuff in further depth as we have you on the screen here. Okay, Nathan, here is your video lesson. As you can see on the screen here, I'm going to attach your video, your raw video, to the end of this. What I'd like you to do when you're watching is pay attention to the pitch location in contrast to where your ball flight is. Is it middle, gap to gap? Is the trajectory good? Are you rolling into the swing and attacking the pitch in the proper direction? The position of your 90, your hands, your legs, your feet. Just get familiar with everything you're doing so you can track yourself moving forward as you change and adjust and grow and do things differently. So, and also pay attention to your consistency of contact and things of that nature. So let's get into your action plan. Okay, Nathan, after watching your film, here's just, the things that I've come up with that should be an area of concentration for you. But here's what I recommend. An action plan is so that you have something minute to minute, day by day, week by week, month by month, season by season. You have something to focus on to make you a better baseball player. Every time you hop in the batting cage, you should have something in your head that you're working on so that you can improve yourself, okay? You don't go in there empty-headed and just start swinging the bat. You're always working to improve, whether that's changing big things or just making sure you're doing the little things right, whatever it may be. You got to have a goal every time you step onto the practice field, okay? So for you, this is what I have as some of the most important things that you should be concentrating on. But here's what I want you to do. Don't just take my word for it. I want you to run this past your dad, past the other coaches, the Diamond Sports coaches. If there's any other coaches in your life, I don't know if you've got brothers and sisters that have had coaches that, you respected, other hitting instructors or coaches from other teams. Whatever the case may be, run it by as many people as you can. Don't be shy. Have people watch your video lesson. Find out what they think is important for you to be working on. Put all that together and make a knowledge-based decision on the things that you need to do to make you better. And then build your own action plan and go to work on it. So that's what I'd like to see all of the players do with their videos is, run it up the flagpole as many places as you can and go from there. But as I see it, as well as all the other kids, the best thing that we can do is master. Okay, so again, based on watching you, I like a lot of things about your swing. There's a lot of things that you're doing, very well. The way you take your bat backwards is rearwards towards the catcher. So right there, you're doing awesome. A lot of our players have, an opposing move. They move the bat to a different direction when they head into the 90, or excuse me, when they do the snap drill. And I like the way you move your bat rearward. That's awesome. But again, now that you've seen the snap drill with your own eyes, just watch the way they're torquing it back very good. They're just kind of snapping it backwards. So, practice that. Get better at it. Do it on a regular basis so you don't lose that feel and the need to enter it into the zone that way. I'll tell you unequivocally, major league players will stand there in the on-deck circle and do that snap drill to a degree, just the initial movements of it. So again, it's, baseball is a game of reminders, and you got to do things on a regular basis to keep them regular. And the snap drill is one of them. It's important to get down, and it's important to continue to practice as you move through baseball. So again, you do it pretty good. just get better at it, get sharper at it, learn how to snap it and get that early bat speed and the bat on the right plane. That's why the snap drill is so important. It's good for bat speed and it's good for getting the bat on the right plane. You do not want a rotational swing on a horizontal level. You know, on certain pitches you offer at will be that way, but they do start differently with the snap and the 90, you know, so again, it's very important to get a hold of that. The one thing I'd like you to improve upon, and you do this okay, in my opinion, I'm not dissatisfied with it, you know, you can see that in a lot of the videos I have casting your hands or casting the bat. You do become a little rotational, but it's not from, you know, bad casting, and we'll go over that later, but I think that you can get more of a complete pull swing versus a push swing if you learn to maintain that 90 and then pull the bat. You know, turn the triangle, pull the bat. Turn the triangle, pull the bat, all simultaneously. And I'll show you some videos of what it looks like when somebody's doing that differently than you are to point out what it looks like. But you are getting your swing a little bit rotational and a little bit pushy versus pull, or you're flattening it out a little bit. And I think maintaining the 90 through the swing right up to the power V would improve that. So it also goes in line with having a direct path to the ball. So we'll discuss the parts of a swing, but how you roll to the ball or roll into your swing has a lot to do with your 90 and the snap drill. So we'll discuss that more in depth here as we move ahead. Leg kick, I don't particularly mind yours. It's rather you know, small. There's not a lot to it. It's not a huge leg kick with a lot of weird movement. The only thing I'm going to tell you about your leg kick is this. In the video that I've got you posted up on here, what you do is a lot like what Nelson Cruz does. For example, he goes from his left foot back, he enters it into the zone, he sets it, or the box, he sets it down, and then he's ready to swing. You know, he just sets the toe down, and then he torques, twists, and turns, and goes from there. And you know, we got, I don't know, 2 or 3, maybe 4 guys on the team that do this, and it's not that I'm not a fan of it, and I think it's a, you know, a big problem in your swing, but the fundamentals of a leg kick, go up and back and then down and out. It gives you momentum into the ground, which you then rotate and take that momentum outward at the pitch. So you don't want to just come backwards and forwards. That's the other thing, you know, you kind of want to get the hover and then the down to the ground torque outward from the swing or from a leg kick. But a lot of people with this particular leg kick where you're more open and then you bring your foot in closed, sometimes you're going to go too far with that and you're going to get the left foot on top of the plate, and now you have to become more rotational or flat to get around that. And that's exactly what happens on this pitch that I've got you framed up here that we'll roll into when we start talking about, you know, your lower half in the swing. So again, you know, a good hitter is a consistent hitter. He does everything the same all the time. You know, what we're trying to build is consistent hitters that hit for average, for power. They can send the ball all over the field. You know, we're trying to eliminate holes from their swings. You know, there's no sense you know, in trying to do anything else. The goal is to be a complete hitter. You know, you always strive for that and see where you end up. But you know, if you're going to enter into a baseball swing where one swing your feet are in one place and then the next pitch they're in a different place, it's a very simple thing. It's going to change the way you swing your bat, how you see the ball, you know, all these things. So again, it's about consistency for me, and if you're going to step in different places with that stance, I'm going to tell you that stance ain't the best thing for you. You know, you can gather your own opinions and come to your own conclusions, but if you were more parallel to the front of the plate with both of your feet and you simply lift your foot and step at the pitcher's chest, that's going to give you a more consistent position with your feet, which is going to give you more consistent swings at the ball, which is going to help your consistency in, average and contact and all of those things. So that's all. Other than that, it's not a bad leg kick. But with youth baseball players that do this, this is very common. So again, it's not a bad thing. It's just, I'm going to give you some other things to look at and think about. So then you've got grip aids. Grip aids, can change the way the bat feels and swings. You've got very good loose hands and loose wrists in your swing. I really don't, I'd maybe like to look at it up close to see what it looks like, but on film, it's not negatively affecting your bat and your bat path and the way you control the bat. So I'm, and it looks very loose, which is what you want. So I like your hands and the way you grip the bat and use your hands in the swing. But, do keep in mind when you get to the correct pull phase of the swing, you're pulling real hard. And, that's where the grip aids more than anything come in handy. And a lot of people say it feels better, they can keep looser hands if they got grip aids and, instead of killing the bat. So I think all our guys need to investigate, if a grip aid is helping or hurting their swing after they master, at least after they master the snap and laser drill, maintain the 90 and pull the bat correctly. That's when you really need to feel the benefit of grip aid. So all I'm saying is, maybe investigate different grip aids. You've got the pine tar, you've got we've got the more waxy, tacky substance style ones that don't get you as dirty, but either way, I'd investigate looking into those. And that's it. I mean, these are the things I would look at, have other people look at your complete swing, see if there's anything you want to add to this list, take away from this list, whatever the case may be, find out what's important and go to work on it, buddy. So let's get into your lesson here. Okay, Nathan, let's get you started here. We're going to start with leg kicks in your lower half in the swing. Again, I don't have any big issues with your swing. I just want you to see some of the differences so as you develop in baseball, you can think about these things. But the bottom line is a leg kick should be used as a timing mechanism and to generate power in the swing. That's the bottom line, right? So what I'd like you to do is watch this video and then we'll roll ahead and I'll show you some different pro players and what you're doing and you can give it food for thought. Again, I don't have a big issue with your leg kick right now other than when you come from back forwards with it. Youth players, again, I think we've discussed this, are going to put it in the wrong spot sometimes. So if you're going to use it, I would be more consistent with it and get your feet lined up at the pitcher's chest. But please go watch this video, come back, and then we'll cover a few things. Okay, so this is you offering at a pitch. You can see your ready position there. You're in a pretty good balance. I mean, if your foot was more forward, you'd be in perfect balance. 50-50 equal opposite with your legs. As demonstrated by those lines, you're, 50-50 equal opposite. What a lot of youth baseball players don't understand is, it's better to be balanced. How can you move somewhere if you've got one leg straight and one leg leaning back? I mean, the bottom line is when you're swinging the bat, your legs need to move and torque and give your upper body power. And if you're not balanced, it's not going to happen as well. So I like the fact that you're 50-50 here. That's awesome. You see a lot of youth kids doing some real weird stuff and they think it might be helping and it's really not. You're right where you need to be here. Again, if your left foot was even with your right foot, you would be in a position where you could jump, you could run, you could do anything from that position as quickly as possible. Okay, and that's something that's very important in the swing. But Anywho, that is a really good thing right there. Here's my only thing with this stance. Is you can see how close you come to the plate when you set it down. So where does that line go? Does it hit the pitcher? No, it probably hits the second baseman. So, and then as you carry on in the swing, it forces you, or forces you along with other issues to become rotational. You can see there you're hitting the ball with that left foot still right where you put it. A lot of people might turn it, heel down, toe out, but you don't get there till there. So it's, it is something you're swinging around. And you can see, for example, this pitch is an inside pitch, which a lot of inside pitches you attack pretty well, compared to a lot of our guys who are completely flat and rotational in a horizontal fashion. You actually have decent contact on inside pitches. And I believe that's because you take the bat away more straight back than a lot of our guys, but you can see your arms do come rotational as well, and we'll talk more about that. But back down to your feet, if you have your left foot further out than your right foot, your body's going to have to come around it, and it's hard to do it straight. So keep that in mind. But if you're going to continue to keep this leg kick and the way you move it from back to forward, you've got to be careful about where you set it down. So most of the time you probably set it down correctly, just letting you know. On the pitches I'd say 20% of the time you're here and 80% of the time you're where it should be, lined up with the pitcher's chest between that and your right foot. But again, it's all about consistency, my friend. Hitting is about consistency of mechanics. You can't change your mechanics from one swing to the other without it affecting your consistency. So FYI. Okay, so here you are with Mitch Haniger. I'm just going to show you some different pro players and their leg kicks, stuff you can keep in mind if you ever decide to change yours or want to look at something. Again, it's not a big point for you that I'm saying you got to go repair. I just want you to have the knowledge of what others do. But more importantly, I want you to see the benefit they're getting from it and why they do it. So this is Mitch Haniger. Here he goes from, and here's the points of the swing that I'm going to talk about. I'll get to this now so that you can understand as we go here what I'm talking about. The ready position is what I call you when you're sitting in the box and you're close to load, but you're not fully loaded. This is why you're waiting for the pitcher to do something. He might be on the mound and set, but he hasn't broken yet and is going to the plate or anything of that nature. So you've got your ready position, which is where you're at now. You've got your load position, which is where you get to right before you launch your hands and arms into the swing. So you've got your ready, you've got your load, then you've got your trigger, which is your launch. That's when you start moving the arms and hands and everything together to begin the swing. Then you've got the pull phase of the swing where you turn your 90 and you bring the knob towards the pitcher. Okay, that's how you enter into the zone. You roll at the ball, so to speak. You roll at the pitch. I'll show you what that means. And then you've got your power V, and then you've got your, which is part of your follow through. Then you've got the rest of your follow through. So those are the sequences of the swing, how I break it down verbally so that you can understand me when we're talking about certain things. But anyway, here he is in ready and then load, and then when he starts to load, okay, he's bringing his leg up while he's loading, okay, and here's all he does with his leg, okay, up and back, up and back. He takes his knee to his belt buckle, okay, and watch what that's doing. See how it's loading his hips there? Okay. If you've watched the hover drill, this will probably make it a little bit more sense to you now. If you haven't, please go back and watch it. But look at his hips. He's bringing that knee back and loading the hips just like a pitcher does. Okay. So there he is there. Okay, so he starts by going backing up, puts his knee to his belt buckle, so to speak. And here he is when he triggers and launches. Down and out, down and out, down and out. Okay, so essentially what's happening here, so if you've ever heard hitting instructor coaches say, you know, drop down to the ball, drop into the ball, I mean, it can be said a lot of different ways, but by coming up with the knee and then down and out with the knee, it looks like you're attacking the ball downward with your body. Okay, and that's irrespective of your swing and what you do with your upper half. But you can see how far his whole body or his torso and legs, everything moves about, I don't know if that's 6 inches, 8 inches, 4 inches, I don't know. But he's dropping down at the ball. Okay, and the reason he's dropping down at the ball is you see the blue arrows. He's creating downward force and momentum. That hits the ground in the form of mostly his left foot. And then that energy is redirected like that. You can see the twist at the pitcher. That leg kick generates power just like that. Downward movement hit the ground, power now goes to the pitcher or the ball. Okay? So that's why I wanted to explain this to you. There's a good amount of power being built by this by leg kicking this way. Okay, so just wanted to show that to you. So here we have you with Nelson Cruz. He does exactly what you and a couple of the guys are doing. Like I mentioned, he starts with that left foot behind him further. He moves it to the pitcher. Excuse me. He moves it inward so that it's in between his right leg and the pitcher's chest. Okay. But if you watch Nelson and a lot of the pros that do this, I didn't look at yours real close, but it's not a power gathering move. It's not this, it's not that. I believe what it is a timing mechanism. It might have to do with him feeling more open and he thinks he sees the ball better. But I bet more than anything it's a timing move. Because here's what happens with it, okay? All he does is, here it goes. All he does is pick it up and bring it in, lands on his toe, turns with the whole foot, torques, the whole 9 yards, okay? But the pitcher has not released the ball when he gets to this point, okay? So essentially he has no leg kick. That leg kick is not part of his swing. That's a timing mechanism, FYI. If we look at yours, I think you're okay. So you just go set down. You don't come too far back either there. So same kind of situation, but see, there's the difference. You are picking up and you're just putting down way over there. And you can see Nelson picks up, puts down before the release of the pitch. And that's essentially his ready and load position. And then he smacks the ball. So kind of like Albert Pujols. But I want you to be aware that he's picking up and putting down the same place every time. Okay, it's right there. He's been doing this for a lot of years and a long time. He's a bigger, stronger fella. You know, that's kind of why he's able to do it more consistently. But he, what he never does is picks it up and, sets it down in here. He always picks it up and sets it down where it needs to be set down. Every pitch, every day, every month, every year, every season. Okay? The one thing you'll see about major league hitters is the consistency in what they're doing, where they hold their hands, how they hold their hands, their routine on deck, their practice routines, everything. I mean, that's a big deal, So anyway, that's what Nelson does, and if you want to adopt something like that where you get that left foot moved in sooner and then you're ready to attack, great. That's if you don't want to totally rework the leg kick, that's totally fine. But, there's one example of how he does it. So that's how much his whole body moves downward. Again, the whole dropping into the swing thing without a leg kick. So he's obviously compensating in other areas of his body to generate power and come down on the ball a little bit. So I just wanted to make you aware of that as well. So if we draw a line, it's your belt buckle, so to speak. Looks like you come up a little bit, then down a little bit. So you've got a little bit of, you can see yourself standing up on your back leg there. Okay. So on this angle right here, on Nelson Cruz, okay, he's got a 28-degree angle right there. And you've got a 34-degree angle right there. So again, the whole topic about leg kicks and using your downward movement to then twist the energy out at the pitch, if you were pushing a heavy object, so if you were trying to push a refrigerator back to the pitcher's mound, okay, would you push the top of it? Okay, you're going to push that refrigerator up here. Are you going to push it here, or are you going to push it here to get it moving to the pitcher's mound? Okay, you're going to push that refrigerator down here. Okay, so the lower this angle is, the better push that tells us that you're getting towards the pitcher's mound. Okay, so just some food for thought there. And this is Justin Turner. I'm just showing you this to give you another perspective of even a higher leg kick than Mitch was. I really like Mitch's, or even something a hair shorter than that. Again, that's why I don't think that you're far off on a leg kick. But I'm just showing this stuff so you'll have it in your memory banks and knowledge base here. But this is how high and how much Justin Turner kind of hovers. You can't see the hovering part because it's that part of the video doesn't exist pre-launch here, but I just want you to see how high he gets there. So there's his movement. So he goes back and up, and then forward and down. He drives his weight into the ground. Bam. Turns. Boom. Okay. So that's enough on leg kicks. I just wanted to give you a well-rounded knowledge of some different types. Actually, let's do one more. Let's do one more. Okay, here's Albert Pujols. He is the definition of staying quiet in a swing. He moves hardly anything forwards or backwards. He is just loaded with all the tension he needs right there. He's got just a little bit of turn hip, delay, upper body and go, but not much, just because he's so powerful and he's already loaded to the max. So you can see he's got that 50-50 equal opposite that I showed that you had. It was a great thing. All he does is he lifts his left heel, he puts it back down, and then he torques. Okay? That's all he does to generate power. And that's not far away from what you're doing. It's pretty simple. So it's good. You're generating power without a whole lot of movement is kind of what I'm getting at. I mean, I prefer this Albert Pujols method and minimal movement compared to big movements, because every time you move something big, your brain's telling it to do it, so it's taking up brain activity, it's taking up time, and it's taking away from your time to impact and being quick to the ball. So I just thought I would show you how he's moving so that you can understand. Albert was he still plays, but he's not what he used to be. But Albert was one of the most powerful hitters to ever play the game. Just so happens he also had one of the better averages. So, from this stance, he was an average hitter and a power hitter. So, so we know that minimal movement can create greatness. An elite hitter can be very quiet in his swing. So, and most of them are to a degree, but most of them are going to have a leg kick. I think Albert and Nelson Cruz are some of the more quieter swingers in the game, but I just wanted you to see this so you can, wherever you want to land on the leg kick chart, just keep all this stuff in mind. That's my biggest point. So while we're on Albert here, just look at this too. You can see his head, his torso, everything just turns. It doesn't go forward, doesn't go backwards. He doesn't need any extra momentum. He's got biokinetically his body maximized for load just by the way it's positioned, okay? So, if anybody ever tells you to stay quiet in the box and to have a quiet swing, this, just so you know, this is what they're telling you right there. Stay quiet. Stay quiet. Okay? Okay, so that's about enough for the lower half of the body and leg kicks. Let's move into the load. The ready and the load portion of your swing. Okay, Nathan, that is enough for the leg kick and bottom half. Let's take a look at your load. Similar to your bottom half here, I really don't have any technical or mechanical qualms with what you're doing. I can't really look at this and say you shouldn't do that or need to do this. Just I'll point out the two important things that you need a load to accomplish is you need to get to the bat and hands and everything to a point where you can trigger. So you need to create tension and get into a position where when you decide to swing, now everything kind of just snaps. Okay? So the two things are position of the hands and creating the stretch between the left hip and right shoulder. That's what you want to achieve on a load. So again, let's just roll yours, take a look at it so that you can become familiar with it here. You're in your ready position here. Okay, you step to the ball. You can see your right shoulder and elbow are moving behind you a little bit, creating a little more tension. Okay. So that all looks good to me. But let's roll it so you can burn this in your memory here, see what you got going on for load. And I highly recommend watching all the major leaguers you can and seeing what they do. Try some different things, see if something feels better, feels different in the right way. Youth hitters are comfortable doing things a certain way because that's how they've done them. But like I tell anybody I come in contact with, how do you know something else isn't better for you? You really don't know until you try. So, again, just dive in and learn what other people are doing and try certain things in practice. Try it with dry swings. Try it with, soft toss. See what you can learn and see if there's anything that you can put to use that helps you. Okay. So I don't have a ton of film from this angle with MLB players loading, but I'm going to show you what I do have so you can just get an idea of some of the different ways to do it. But if I had to teach somebody how to load from scratch, I would probably teach exactly what Mike Trout does. And as you can see, he's got the right elbow up, same height as his right shoulder. Okay. Your right elbow's down lower, and again, that's not a bad thing. Believe it or not, a lot of people teach keeping that elbow down a little bit so that it's already in the slot, so to speak. I mean, you're taking it down anyway. Why raise it way up, I guess, is the concept when they teach it that way. I myself, I'm a big fan of having it up because that is the thing that if you're pulling the bow and arrow back with your right hand and arm, it's led with the right rear elbow going behind you. So that's why I'm a fan of it. The other reason I'm a fan of it is because when you start to go downward with it, it's going to have more momentum, more room to move. Okay, so personally, that's how I like doing it and how I like teaching it. But again, you're going to watch plenty of Major League Baseball players that start with that right elbow lower. So the importance is, moving that right rear shoulder rearward to get that tension between the left hip and the right rear shoulder. If your elbow is down and you're creating the tension between those 2 points, that's the important thing. So, but let's just watch Mike's movement here. He's already started his leg kick, and he's just really turning his 90. He's keeping the relationship of his elbows and hands in the same place, and conceptually, I term that turning the 90 to load. Okay, but watch how everything works for him. Load, stretch. There is a video on our features page at saintsbaseball.club on the features page down below, or somewhere in there, that it's titled Stay Quiet in the Swing, Step and Load. Something of that nature. That's a real good video on stepping and loading and staying quiet at the same time. There's some ideas you can get from that. This is how Mitch Haniger does it. So he starts with the elbow down, starts moving the elbow up, bringing the hands down. He kind of steps away from it there, gets a little backwards turn right there, a little bit more reach from walking away from his hands. And you can see right there he starts to turn his lower half, creating just a little bit more stretch, a little delay in the upper half. Okay. But there he is going to load right there. There's you again. Okay, so just food for thought. So here's just for contrast, a picture of Sawyer. And he does the loading of the 90. Okay, you'll see he's doing a little dance, getting ready, and then turns the 90 backwards with his right elbow as he's stepping away. It's probably fully loaded right about there. And you can see how his right shoulder is turned back a little bit. You can see the stretch lines in his shirt there, creating tension between the left hip and the right shoulder. Okay, so those are just some ideas of how some other people are doing it. You know, again, I suggest you tinker with it as much as you can. So here is a drill. I call it the 10 toes trigger drill, but you're going to take and face the pitcher. Your feet are going to be perpendicular to the side of the plate or parallel with the front of the plate. And what you do is you get turned back, like you see this is Manny Ramirez, you get turned back right there, and then you just swing at the ball. What that's going to do is going to create even more stretch because your body is turned the other way. But what it does is it gives you the feeling of creating maximum stretch and maximum tension in that rubber band before you trigger. Okay, so I would highly suggest practicing this drill at home or in the cages at Diamond Sports when you can and just get a feel for it and see how that affects your swing. But this is how major leaguers will practice this to make sure they have plenty of tension in their swing. And not only that, but it gets all the hands and everything in the right place so that you initiate the swing correctly. So, and there's a lot of benefits in this drill, but I would recommend practicing this on a regular basis. And another great drill that helps you with your load and your trigger, and this is J.D. Martinez doing it here in his pre-game batting session. I would highly recommend keeping your feet on the ground and still and just swinging. It teaches you how to gain torque from minimal movement. It makes sure that you're launching the bat correctly and using your upper half correctly. But I think this combined with the 10-toe trigger drill is really good at finding your proper tension in your load and releasing the bat correctly. So just take that in as food for thought. So that about covers the load right there. Again, you know, I wouldn't jump in and make any mechanical changes, but I would advise you to try those two drills, look at some other loads, mimic them, practice them, see if you can find anything that feels better or helps you out, you know, and go from there. So let's move on to, okay, so let's get into your trigger. Your trigger is what I term, once you're fully loaded, you got the rubber band stretched out and you've gained pitch recognition and you've decided to swing at the ball. What happens from that point forward is what I term the trigger. Okay. So let's just look at yours here. And I didn't put the concern on your action plan like I had on a lot of them, casting the bat or casting the hands in the swing. Because you start it pretty good. You see your bat's movement is mostly rearward. And there's a little behind action there, but it's more or less rolling to the ball, at least initially, pretty good. And you can see people that cast their bat, from initial movement, right here, their elbows are going to be over each other and they've lost their 90. As you can see, you still have your 90 here. And your left elbow is up here. And your right elbow's back there. So your elbows aren't stacked right here like a full-on casting situation. So here we have a pitch that is right there at your middle thighs, just below your waist. It might be in the middle of the plate, it might be inside a little bit, but you can see you roll it over. And when we get our swing horizontally rotational from whatever it is that does that, those are the pitches we struggle with the most, that and the outside pitches. A rotational swinger is going to have his sweet spot. He's going to hit the middle pitches. You know, he may crush the middle pitches. Again, in 13U and 14U ball, a lot of kids are casting the hands or have horizontal versus vertical swings, and they do well, but that's because you're pitchers, you know, in 13U, most pitchers were 55 to 60 miles an hour. In 14U, you're probably going to see 60 to 65 on a consistent basis. Some slower, some faster. But, you know, here's what I want you guys to keep in mind is, at least, you know, where I'm coming from here is I'm not trying to show you guys swing techniques for 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old ball. I'm trying to show you what the pros do so you can build an elite swing as soon as you can and then take that into ball with you, work with it, see how it feels, tweak it, you know, get your best swing that you can get at a young age. So, you know, as we take a look at this here, that looked to be a, you know, a pitch that should have been handled and the ball should have been put in play. And you can see you just go a little rotational there. It's almost casting, but you keep your 90. So again, I'm not going to call it casting, but if you were to get that, again, left shoulder and left elbow up higher and pull the bat, that's all the difference you need to hit that pitch right there, because you start the bat rearward correctly, okay? But then in here, you become a little bit, because you're not moving the 90 enough, you do get out and become a little more rotational, and then it finishes up like that, and then you come around the ball. So again, you know, if we work on that 90 and maintaining the 90 through the swing to the power V and extension phase of the swing, I think you're gonna notice a big difference. So let's take a look at Aaron Judge in this phase of his swing. Okay, he's to load. And just as a side note, you can see his right elbow and shoulder. His right elbow is a little bit higher. He's got a little bit more leg in his bat, or bat wrap. Okay, you know, finding a position where your bat's laid down a little bit more like that, that's just going to create early bat speed, keep the bat on the right plane, okay? But as we roll him out here, right here, this is where he's getting the left elbow higher than you do. And I just want you to concentrate on how that looks different right there, okay? Turning the triangle and then pulling the hands. It's a more direct path to that ball. Okay, we'll roll you. Let you take a look. So let's watch how Mitch Haniger rolls to the ball, starts his trigger, rolls to the ball. Okay. You can see how high his left elbow gets. how quickly he thrusts it through there from here all the way up and back. A little bit different than Aaron, but he gets there. He's going on a little bit different path, but he doesn't stop it down by his sternum. You can see that once he lays the bat down here, right there, he's just beginning his pull. So I can't stress enough how important the pulling of the bat is. Straight at the ball, pretending that he's got a laser beam coming off the end of his bat that's going to dissect the ball. If your left shoulder is lower at this point, you're not going to be able to pull the bat through the swing the way you want to. Okay, it's going to become more rotational. So look at the direct path that clearing the 90 and turning the 90 fully allows your hands to take. That's a very important thing here in making this point. So so another point, if the bat's on a more vertical plane, it's going to be easier to attack that pitch. But another point that I want to make when you go rotational is that's what gets your bat head out in front of your hands. Whenever you get the bat head out in front of the hands, unless you contact it, in a different area or a different point in the swing, but the more you swing at the ball and you get the bat head in front of your hands, the more likely you are to miss hit the ball or drive it in the ground at the third baseman or pop it up to the right side. As we take a look at Mitch's bat here, you can see that at contact, his bat head is behind or equal with his hands, okay? And again, that's perfecting the snap drill, maintaining the 90, and taking a direct path to the ball corrects all that, okay? And it gives you better bat whip, better exit velocity, okay? So that is Mitch Haniger and how he... Okay, so let's just cover extension real quick. Again, extension is a product of how you trigger and swing and maintain the 90, so it's not a huge topic for me, but I do want you to know what everybody looks like. But here's a pitch. It looks like it's low, middle of the plate and low. And this is definitely pretty close to your sweet spot. You can see you handle it great. You hit the crap out of it. Follow through. Everything's seamless. Your swing sequence, everything's in order. okay? You got decent extension there. Your power V is pointed upwards, okay, and you're already crossing over there, but nobody's going to complain if you hit a ball like that, right? Okay. But again, it is a rotational swing. So here's Aaron again, and this is a perfect power V. So I just want you to take it in. We've already seen it and drawn the arrows. But just look at how his arms work and how he gets there and how everything looks. He's got so much bat speed that I can't even draw a kite tail on the end of the thing to compare. But just look and watch how he's getting there, how he's doing it, what it looks like, so you can gain a feel for it. But the first thing to point out is when your swing is more vertical and on the Ferris wheel versus on the merry-go-round, it's much easier to get to a proper extended pitch or position. It doesn't always happen depending on pitch location. It's much more difficult, and elite hitters will alligator arm and not get full extension on extreme inside pitches at times. But they're so strong and powerful that they can hit home runs even alligator arming it. But in the practice scenario, you always want to practice getting to a power V with every swing. It's highly critical. If you do not have proper extension on a swing, you do not have your maximum velocity, okay? So keep that in mind. You do get good extension, okay? But the fact that it's rolling over a little bit and you're breaking your wrists as early as you do, it just tells us that you're on a more rotational, um, a flatter plane. You're more horizontal than vertical. So, but that's why you hit that thing so well and so hard. You can see how hard you hit it. Just jumps right off your bat. So, but on a lot, I don't know a percentage, but on a lot of your pitches, you do not get full extended. But again, I think that's a result of turning the 90 and mastering the snap drill, like I said. So again, it doesn't worry me. It's just something I want you to be aware of as you move ahead and developing your best swing. It's a good measuring stick for, swinging the bat correctly, because if you can get into the correct power V where it's not aimed upward, that tells you that your swing is more vertical. Okay, and before we get away from this view, front view, I just want to show you, if I haven't already, your torso and head movement in the swing. So the good news is that you don't move backwards. Okay, you're only moving forward, attacking the ball. We've talked about your lower half and how most elite hitters in some form or fashion, when they leg kick, they're going to be taller and then they drop down on the ball. You come up a little bit and down a little bit, so that's not too bad. But you do go forward quite a ways, a full body length and a full head length. And again, I'm sure there's elite hitters that move that much, but in concept, when they begin this leg kick here, they're going to get more into a hover. So hopefully you've watched that hover video. They're going to get more into a hover and then just drop the knee and the foot downward, and the torso is going to follow them downward and not so far forward. So again, from this view, there's, it's not a lot wrong with that. There's just different ways to do it, but just conceptually think about hovering up, down, a little forward movement, and then you get into, your twist and torque. Okay. Okay, let's take a look at the down the line view, the pitcher's point of view here. We'll just cover some of the topics we've already covered in quick detail here. So here you are with your left foot back, and then you bring it and set it down, toe down right there. And this is an example of when you do it well, okay? This is how you should do that every time, okay? But that's kind of speaking to the consistency that I was talking about. You can see on the other one that we mentioned from the other view, you were probably closer to right there. And anytime you have that much movement in your feet or any part of your body that's moving somewhere it maybe shouldn't, it's going to affect and change how you swing the bat. And the more inconsistencies you have in your swing, the less consistent you're going to be. So again, I'm not against that leg stance, but I would practice it thoroughly so that you do it the same every time. If you look at the name on your back, you can see that you are closed off a little bit. Your chest is not parallel with the side of the plate. That is a good thing. You can see that when you've loaded, you pulled back a little bit with your right rear shoulder, and you've gotten a pretty good load like we discussed, So you're doing that really well. We talked about, just a second ago, we talked about your forward movement in your head, but I do want to note, I like the fact that you don't lay your head over. You keep your head more upright, eyes on the ball, and you attack it. You're coming forward a lot, but you don't have a whole lot of head tilt. You got your head in there looking at contact, okay? So I do like the way you do that. So you've taken basically a middle pitch, as you can see. But the one thing, and it's more of a feel and it's hard to explain, so I'd rather show you this in the box sometime, but you're just a little rotational there. You hit the ball a little bit closer to your hands on the bat than the sweet spot, and your bat is just a hair, your bat barrel is just a hair further forward than your hands. It's pretty close to even, but the fact that you're a little rotational there and you didn't with your hands take that direct path to and through the ball, maybe in a different way, you can see that you're just a little rotational by the time you make contact, so you're not solidly driving the ball that way. Okay, your results are good, like we teach in the cage. You want to be on 18 to 22 upward trajectory with your ball flight. Okay, you're showing me that you can hit the ball the opposite way. It's just by going a little rotational and not directly at the ball with a straight path with the hands and turning that 90 and rolling to the ball correctly, directional wise, that you can see if you watch this hit. It's not your maximum velocity that way, and it's just a little off. It's not far. It's again, it's minutia. You can call it nitpicking, whatever you like. But to somebody that's watched a lot of swings, you can see where it's just a hair off and contact. I mean, it's close, but you can just get that feel that you're not 100% on the proper bat path and bat plane, and you don't get that full 100% contact where every ounce of energy is sending the ball where it needs to go. Okay. So here we have a middle outside pitch. It's on the outer half. It's not on the edge, but it's pretty close. It's right at your waist. Okay. And then the result that we're getting here is we're grounding out to shortstop or the 6 hole, somewhere in that range. We don't have flush contact. Our bat's not moving on plane directly to the ball in the direction it needs to be. And you give the ball a glancing blow. Okay. The biggest place to change that, the biggest thing that would have helped that would be direction to the ball in a straight manner by pulling the hands and coming this way at it versus the horizontal rotation you got there, okay? The other thing to point out is you're not far off here, and it is an outside pitch. But you can see again that left foot, you set that toe down, now you're aimed a little bit to the right side of the infield more than you were on the last pitch, okay? So just showing you the stuff I'm seeing here. It's not consistent, okay? So here's a middle in pitch at your waist, upper thighs, lower waist, right in that area. As we roll it, you're pretty darn close. You can see it's got just a hair, maybe too much upward trajectory. You can see that that's not the path that your bat is on in which you hit the ball. You can tell it's more of a kind of a golf thing where you're getting a little bit more of a glancing blow, so to speak. You can see that there's no extension on this. You're alligator armed, so to speak. You got your elbows closer to your torso. And with the location of this pitch, it shouldn't have really tied you up, something right there. These are the kind of pitches in here that you're going to get tied up more on. So, again, it's all about being vertical, extending that 90, pulling the bat directly where, with your hands where they need to go. So let's take a look at, this is a little lower on Aaron. but it's obviously the same pitch location. Obviously, you guys are different heights, so there's some differences that I'm aware of here in the swing. But if you just watch him rolling to the ball, okay, look at his hands, look at his elbows, and here's a concept I want to talk about a little bit. It's swinging with your back, or some hitting instructors might call it hitting with your chest. But look the way he rolls to that pitch. Directionally, you can see he's attacking it, and it looks a little bit different. He turns the 90. He pulls the hands. The bat starts to come down and create whip. Okay. So swinging with your back is kind of a concept. It's just kind of a feel kind of thing. But as he begins his swing and starts rolling to the ball and twisting his upper body and everything, the relationship of his elbows and hands in relationship to where they're at with his back do not change. They do not go outward. His hands don't go outward, inward. His elbows don't get closer together, further away. He simply turns the 90 and swings with his back, and everything stays in relationship with that. Okay. As he turns the back, you can see everything is still connected in relatively the same position until he gets to here where he's pulling his hands at the ball. He's dissecting the ball with a laser off the knob of his bat. He's cutting it right in half and then pulling through it. Okay. But look at his left elbow, how high it gets, and he drops the right elbow in. As he contacts the ball, he gets into his power V, and that pulls the arm straight. You can see your head's in a similar position as his. He doesn't move the head a whole lot. He's always upright looking at the ball. There's how you look rolling to the pitch. And now Aaron, so you have some contrast. His video is in slow-mo, so we can see every frame of it much clearer. But just get a look and a feel for that and see if you can, grab a wiffle ball bat, try to mimic some of this stuff. Again, I think, Nathan, the biggest thing for you is maintaining that 90 and pulling the hands directly at the ball. You want to pull versus push. There's plenty of video on the website of push versus pull swing. You want a pull swing. I would say watch those videos. There's videos of 9-year-old kids mastering the push versus pull. There's pictures of pro players mastering the push versus pull swing. I mean, a lot of good hitters, accomplished hitters, get to the minor leagues because they hit 500 in college ball, but they just can't break in or stay in the majors because they don't have a pull swing. They have a push swing, and that's what getting horizontal will do to your swing. So, pay close attention to that stuff. Learn as much about it as you can. Form your own opinions. just study the stuff. Come up with your own opinions on everything. Again, like I said earlier, I want you to run this video and this lesson by as many people as you can. Get some ideas, some thoughts, and create your own opinions and action plan. But, just based on the video and studying all this stuff, just like the rest of our guys, I mean, a couple tweaks here, a couple tweaks there, and you're looking like an elite swinger. Then it's just a matter of practicing. So, but what we know from looking at a totality of your swings is, and it's like a lot of the guys, is an outside pitch and an inside pitch are going to give you trouble because you do have a little bit more horizontal rotation than vertical. So I mean, it's pretty simple math. So, but the beauty of it, like I said, it's a couple tweaks, couple things here and there, and it's a thing of the past. So again, I look forward to gathering your opinion of this. If you would like my help moving forward, all you got to do is say the word, and there's a lot of very simple things and drills to do to tweak this. But like I said on your action plan, I would work really hard and really diligently at the 90, maintaining the 90 and the snap drill. I would do that 10 toes drill, and I'd do the keeping your feet still drill. There's still other drills that are simple to do and some things that, we haven't done yet. So, if you want to tap me on the shoulder and talk about that stuff, I'm here to help you, buddy. So there is your lesson. I'm going to put your swings in here so you can look at them again and just get a feel for, what location of pitch you're hitting where and how your body looks on all these things that we've discussed, and put that in your memory bank so you can, you have a benchmark moving forward to compare it against. Thank you, sir, and I'll attach the rest of that stuff and look. Ready?
Okay, guys, I want you guys to start transitioning.
I'm going to tell you to look at the camera and give the camera a 1, 2, or 3. I want you to look at the camera and give it a 2. Okay? So when I go back to love, throw you go. Point at the camera and give me a 1. Point at the camera and give me a 2. I want your right foot back up 4 inches. Now wherever you want to put your left foot, relation to the back. Say 3. Okay. Come on over here. Okay, same thing. Here, help me bring those out here, will you, those balls? I'm going to redo this one direction. So, put it this way. balls over here. All right. All right, same thing, boss man. Ready? Point at the camera, give me a 2. Actually, never mind, I can see it from the table, I'm sorry.